Hey guys, welcome to our newest episode of the Music Culture Lives podcast. Jay Moore, Rebecca Jade, and we have my good friend Doug Ruckle here with us. Doug is a local alternative and punk musician who's been playing for an extremely long time because we're old, which we just discovered in our first take, which I messed up. Sorry. So we're back. Anyway, Doug's been playing guitar for a very long time and primarily in alt rock and punk bands. And we wanted to bring him on today to talk a little bit about his experiences and what it's like trying to book shows as a heavy punk and alternative band and what that looks like and how it's changed and all those things. So, Doug, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, when you got started in music, and I want to know, like, how many punk bands and rock bands have you actually been in throughout your life?
So, luckily we had a first take because I don't have to count it with my fingers anymore. But the first, I think I've been in about eight bands, and the newest, Neanderthal, and then Powder Keg. The last 5 years were the last two bands I've been in. But I've been at it since I was 13, I guess.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider nothing that I've done at 13 was, any value except.
Well, yeah, we were learning. And
Yeah.
getting started. So, when you started playing guitar at about 13, and then how old would you say you were when you kind of started your first band?
Like, technically, I jammed with people when I was 13, but it wasn't a band. It was just like covers.
Yeah.
And then the second band I was in, first band I was in, we did play like a graduation party, but other than that,
Yeah.
and it was like some punk and whatever's popular at the time. Like I said, whatever's popular was Pearl Jam and Nirvana,
Right.
and
Right.
stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so that definitely, there was Green Day mixed in there too, but
Yeah.
I got into just punk rock because at that time it was a little bit off the beaten path.
Right, yeah.
So.
And kind of same for me. Doug and I were in the same grade in school, and we I was a little more into hip hop when I was younger, but then I got into punk rock when I was like 16, 17 years old, and always kind of been into those alternative types of music. And earlier we were just talking about like how the scene has changed, and like how back then there were a lot of young kids playing rock music, playing punk music, playing in bands, and playing a lot of shows in our area. So there was a pretty good scene around then, and that's changed, and that's not really like that anymore. I think that there's not really like a punk scene anywhere right now. Like, do you think like a full scene or like what?
So I do see signs of hope with
Okay.
some kids. I have noticed that, and I've noticed, you ever hear Pucker Up? You ever hear of them?
Well, I heard of them through you guys, right?
Okay,
They're like
yeah,
a Scranton.
They're Scranton punk band that they're younger people,
Okay.
which is it's pretty cool, and they do seem to have a pretty good crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to get youth energy involved into our scene.
They did
for
not
sure.
play.
Yeah.
They weren't at the Horror Fest that I played, were they? No, I don't think so.
I
I
don't
don't think they
remember
were
that.
on that bill.
I don't know. I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
remember. You guys weren't there. I don't think, were you?
I don't think
No.
so.
Anyway, yeah. Well, it's funny because we talk about this all the time. We've talked about it on a couple episodes briefly, but to talk about youth and kids into music, and I got to tell you, having the store open now, there are so many young kids that come in here. Just the other day, some kid comes in, he sits down and he picks up that SG on the wall and he starts playing, and I'm like, how long have you been playing? He's like, oh, just like a year. Kid must have been like 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. And I was like, what kind of music? And he goes, oh, like NoFX and like punk. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, so I was like, wow, this kid, young, and he's not the first one that I've experienced coming in here to say that. And I do think that there is like this kind of newer wave of rock and alternative and punk music that's coming back through with the youth.
Well, that's good to
Yeah.
hear. I mean, I mean, my daughter likes punk adjacent stuff like
Well,
emo
oh,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that,
Yep.
which is, I mean, I would say it falls into that
Yep.
that category.
What kind of stuff is she into?
Like My Chemical Romance and
Yeah,
like Pierce
yeah.
the Veil and stuff like that.
So it's like the
yeah.
same exact stuff that Rebecca's youngest daughter is into.
Right. It
kinda.
is all punk adjacent. You just have to.
Yeah.
I always kind of go, well, you want to hear the first emo band? Here you go. Here's
Yeah.
Fugazi.
Yeah.
Here's,
Right.
you know, Dag Nasty.
Yeah.
You know, some
Yeah.
of those bands. You
Yeah.
know, try to go, you should try this out.
Yeah.
You know, they don't wear makeup, but, you know what I mean?
That's good music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how old's your daughter?
She's 16.
She's 16, and her youngest is 15, about to be 16, fairly soon in 6 months or so. So, yeah, so that, I think has a lot of hope. A
Yeah,
lot of
I
hope.
think so. I hope so.
So, the topic that we really want to address here is like the experiences I think that you've had, and we all at this table can kind of relate to this in some way, but how hard it is to be booking and playing shows as an alternative band who does virtually no covers at all, right? Because
Can
it's
be
heavy,
tricky.
it's hard, it's aggressive,
Yep.
and you're not doing covers. So it's a very specific scene. It's a very specific genre and type of booking and playing. So
Yep.
what were you saying earlier you wanted to ask about the change, was it?
Well, yeah, it was kind of a little bit more based on what we were just talking about, like how you've seen the punk scene change over the years. You said it
Okay.
used to be very different than it is now.
I got you. So,
So
But we can.
I guess where I'm coming from is, like I said, the popular music was rock music
Yep.
at that time.
Right.
Right.
So when like you would play with an alternative band back in the day, that was like playing with a pop band.
Yeah, that was like
Do you get
the,
what
the
I'm
thing.
saying?
Yeah, and we all
Yeah.
are the same age.
Yeah.
And when you guys were talking earlier
Mm-hmm.
about the shows that you went to in high school, that stuff was going on where I grew up too. you
So it was
know?
kind of
So-
like a little frowned upon to play with like the pop band, like in a punk band, because
Yeah.
you're like
Yeah.
nobody wanted to play with a three doors down type band or you know whatever.
Yeah.
Not it just was that way. It just
Yeah.
was a different scene, and
Right.
like they wanted to keep it separated at that time. But now I think it's a little bit more open, where I think people are just happy to play live music
Right.
with other bands, and
Yeah.
sometimes like some
And
of those bands are like they match better than you'd think.
It's
you know?
funny because I would say that Nirvana is probably like, obviously Nirvana at that time and still to today is like one of the most popular bands of all time. But they're kind of like, although they're not a punk rock band, but they are the closest thing to punk that has gotten the most popular.
Oh,
I
for
would
sure,
say, right?
For sure, yeah.
Because there's
yeah.
a couple punk bands that have got like minimal fame. Now, I mean, we won't get into the Green Day talk, but
Green Day, Blink 182,
Green Day,
and
Blink
Offspring
182,
are pretty
and
big.
Offspring for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna eat my words, right? Because they're closer to punk than what Nirvana is. But Nirvana was, I want to say, bigger than Green Day, but probably not.
I don't know.
I don't
Probably
know.
equal.
We've gotta be
Equal.
really close,
It's,
yeah.
I would think that probably in terms of now, maybe more people talk about Nirvana than they do Green Day.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
sure.
probably true.
Sure.
Yeah.
But even at one point, I would say they were probably on an even.
Yeah. So I ate my words, but the point here being that back then in the 90s, early to mid to even late 90s, the bands that were popular were much closer to heavier alternative bands.
Yeah.
And now the things that we were into weren't necessarily super popular and a lot heavier and a little more aggressive than those types of bands, but it was much closer.
Yeah. So, being somebody that was never really on that scene too much, like I'm kind of curious, how did what was popular at the time, was there ever like a punk scene, or did it kind of evolve from that? Like, how did that
So
start?
I mean, the 70s and
a good
80s
question.
have
Yeah.
always had punk music, in it,
Sure.
and it had some good scenes. Actually, the Clash was a pretty popular band.
Yeah.
Like even on the
Yeah,
radio.
right.
Yeah.
So they had a big following, and the Ramones had a pretty big following because they had a
Yep.
few hits
And Sex
too.
Pistols were
Sex Pistols were
pretty big
known,
band
yeah.
too, yeah.
But I think they were club big, or maybe
Well-
theater big. Maybe we'll call it theater big for Sex Pistols and Ramones and Clash.
Dude, even like if you want to get crazy about like scenes, I mean, nothing really locally around here, but in California, Southern California, I mean, Black Flag, like
Well,
their
yeah.
scene was huge. I mean,
Right.
there's stories about these guys selling out shows with like 1,000, 2,000 people at
Right.
these shows. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So
but they were like again club 1,000
Yeah,
or
right.
or like
Right.
auditorium.
right. What was
things,
what was like the famous punk club there? Like, was it in San Diego or that like was the big scene out there? I don't know if I remember, but obviously around here or East Coast was CBGB's
Yeah.
kind of deal. So in the '80s specifically for punk rock, but
Yeah.
there's the argument that punk started at CBGB's with the Ramones, right? Basically. So,
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that, but there's always
Yeah.
been like there's garage before the proto punk and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So it's always a tricky
here's
thing
what,
to follow.
Here's what I want to ask, right? And I'd like maybe both of your opinions on this because I recently had this conversation with a couple of friends, mutual friends of ours at a barbecue that we had in our backyard. What do you think constitutes and what defines an actual scene? Like, what makes a scene in music? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's not a band or I think for a good scene to thrive, I guess it probably takes 3 or 4 bands in a
sure.
pretty local area.
Yep.
Right? At least 3 or 4 bigger bands in a local area. Youth energy.
Yeah.
I definitely think it does need
Youth
that.
energy.
Yep.
Or at least, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And like something like that. I mean, it definitely would take some kind of local
Yeah.
3 or 4 bands that
I mean,
thrive.
And when
Yeah.
you say the youth energy, it seems to me like that is mainly pertaining to that kind of alternative music.
I don't think so.
Well,
could be.
because I would argue that there is a music scene.
Ooh, I love it when we have a good
for-
argument.
There's still a music scene for like blues and
Well, yeah.
and but that's what I'm saying, like the youth energy kind of, not that it's not wanted or needed in all genres of music, but it seems like it's specifically essential for a thriving scene in that genre.
In,
You know what
in
I'm
punk
saying?
rock,
Yes.
you think
Yes.
I think we have a age problem in punk rock for sure. It's like for older people.
well,
right
now.
Yeah, for right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do see, like I said, I see hope with these
Right.
other bands, a couple of them, and I see some good things. And I think that now is a great time to be a punk rocker
I think so too. I
because
do.
we have to stand up for what's right, and not trying to
Yeah,
be
that's
Yeah.
absolutely.
political here. But I
Yeah.
think if any time was to be a good punk rocker, this is the time.
So how do you
Yeah.
define that?
How do I define being a good punk rocker? Saying your piece to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
I think 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit that nail right on the head. I mean, obviously there can be a lot of discrepancy on the definition of the world being a better place, but 100% correct. And we don't want to get too political on
Right.
on this show, but that has always been a part of punk rock
Yeah.
in general. I do want to say though, just to step back to the youth thing, you're absolutely right, and I see what you're saying, Rebecca, about the youth in like blues music, because I would say that punk rock and alternative music has a much bigger youth presence than
Yes.
blues music does, but we're missing one genre here that also has a huge youth following, and that's country music. Country music.
Especially today.
Country music has always, and especially today, has a big youth
Yeah.
following for sure in that kind of
Yeah.
scene. But there's not really a country scene around here, or
It's kind of strange,
scene.
right?
It's a little bit, I guess.
I think
but-
I think the problem with that is that, like, fans of that genre don't really. This is just my personal opinion. Don't reach, like, for, like, someone local. Like,
Right.
they don't reach, like,
Nope.
where like a punk band
Yeah.
might, like, go, oh, there's a punk band playing down the road. I want to go
yeah,
see that.
Well,
Where-
yeah,
where they're like, oh, it's not going to be a hit, so I'm not going to go check that out. Because
Yep.
when you have, I think there's a difference between our scenes, like
Yep.
a country scene and a rock scene.
Well, there's not really a country scene, I guess.
That's because they
Maybe
are
there is, and
all
we don't know about it because
they're
we're
all
not-
just commercial fans.
They're-
Commercial
they
music
are commercial
fans.
And
That's
punk
it.
rock in general is just not a commercial genre. Never really has been.
Right.
So you're right. It's the people who are into the commercial music tend to be a different demographic.
Yep.
I think that there's a scene in like jam band like type music. There's always been kind of a scene there, like the festival
Yep. Yeah.
scene.
Yep.
For those I can't even who are the like Fish and Mo and like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. But you are 100% correct. It's like those popular musics are popular music, so there's not really local scenes that much, which is weird because you would think that like around here there would be current country original bands playing to be promoting and kind of the up and coming parts of that scene, but there's really not.
I
And that's
feel like
really strange.
I just
lot
want
of
to
these-
say, if anybody disagrees with that, feel free to comment
please.
and tell us.
Because
like,
if
what
there
you
is a
think.
country scene, I actually want to go experience it at least
Yeah.
and see what
Yeah.
what's going on.
I
Sure.
think they have pockets, probably.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Nashville has probably a pocket
Of
where,
course,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like, and they're just like anything.
That's a really
I
good
think
point.
there's a pocket for punk rock, probably
Yeah.
in better places
Sure.
than where, not
Yeah.
better places, but
Right.
different
Well,
places
different,
than
yeah.
we live.
Yeah, we're just really low population, so it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not it's harder
So-
to have any
Different things
scene.
are popular in different
Right.
areas
Sure.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So to get back to that definition of an actual scene, right? I had one person in my earlier conversation say that a scene is like if you have a show and there's like three like-minded bands that play, but I don't consider that a scene unless there's fans. You gotta have fans for it to be a scene, right?
True.
And the other people in the bands, which we have both experienced many times, where you play a show and there's 5 bands and there's 30 people at the show because there's 5 people in each band. You know what I mean?
Of
And
course.
it's like,
but I think
that's not a scene to me, though.
No, I
You
agree,
know?
but I also think that, like, for every one of those, I have 4 good ones. So,
Yeah,
like,
right.
good, decent ones,
Right.
you know, where I would call decent. It's up,
Sure.
up to,
Yeah.
you, but I mean, but I think that could be any genre of music can
Yep.
have a fail because
Yeah.
it's a lack of promotion and a lack of whatever. Maybe it's the place, and you don't even blame. You might
Yeah.
blame, like, all right, so you play to an empty room because there's an empty room there. Nobody
Yeah.
goes to this place,
Yeah.
you know, and you don't know it because you're, from
Well-
Bloomsburg and you play in Philly.
The thing is with us and doing the alternative music is most times the places that we're playing are like DIY venues.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a place that people go to unless there's music
Something
happening.
going on, yeah.
You know, so they're and I like that because
Yeah.
now you're playing to people that even if it is 5 people, they came for the music.
That's true.
And
That
that's
is
so
true.
much
Yeah.
more important to me than playing to a restaurant where people are trying to have their dinner and you're just the background music, which
Yeah.
doesn't
can be
happen
tough.
in the alt world really. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that could be tough. I mean, for me personally, because if I can't, like, I did a few solo shows,
yeah.
and it was so different playing solo
I bet.
than to be in a band that had people excited, singing along to
different
you.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
I remember you did a couple.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And you were still on the electric
Yeah.
with your amp and playing punk covers and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you were
Yeah.
doing covers.
Yeah.
Some.
Original and punk
Some
covers.
originals too.
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also know a lot of people in like the folk punk world
Yeah.
too. And those guys are doing like solo gigs and shows.
They play a ton of shows.
Yeah.
Like some of them.
Yeah, and it's like banjo and like, acoustic guitar and a lot of times a solo or just a duo in that kind of sense. Actually, the folk punk stuff is hard to find full bands that are doing folk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, in your opinion, Doug, has been the biggest challenge when it comes to trying to find shows and to book those shows, and like, what is it like the area? Because I know sometimes we have to travel really far to get places where there are a so-called scene, or is it the booking? Is it matching bands? What do you think is, like, in your experience, been the biggest issue with playing as an all original alternative band?
So I will say this, like, basically, I took a little hiatus from playing music for about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
While my kids were growing up. And when I came back, I started Powder Keg and
Yep.
Culture in
Yep. And
Bloomsbury.
I was at your first show.
Yeah, you were.
I was,
You were.
yeah. Yeah.
So, and, but I, like, we also were doing that during the pandemic, which was very, very
Yeah.
tough to even, people weren't sure if they were going to open.
Right.
Places weren't, like, sure what was going to happen. So the first one was an outdoor thing at Rock
Yep, Rock God. right.
Gods. So, and that was nice. And,
And that was like
fun.
their anniversary party, probably 2020 or 2021 was it? 2021, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I think we felt that Powder Keg was maybe more palatable than it was.
Well, it's more palatable than Neanderthal, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Just
But
because it's a little more of that pop vibe ish,
Yeah.
I know you guys didn't call yourself. What'd you call yourself?
Power pop,
Power
actually.
power
yeah.
pop.
Power
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
punk,
Yeah.
whatever. We thought it would be more palatable than it was, but anyway.
I thought you were very palatable, actually. I mean, I do. I really do. I think that you guys were not too aggressive. You weren't like crazy loud. It was very melodic. You know what I mean? So I think you were pretty palatable. I just, maybe the people in our, like we already talked about, small population area kind of wasn't ready for something like that to be in too many super public bases. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
you're
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
right. Because we reached out to things that we probably shouldn't have even bothered. Like,
Trying to
knowing
book
Yeah.
shows.
knowing
gotcha.
that now, yeah,
Okay,
like knowing
yeah.
that, like Knobles and
Yeah,
all these
so
things.
you learned
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
where
yeah.
where you would be wanted and
Right.
where you wouldn't be.
We didn't know
Right.
where we'd be wanted.
Yeah.
And
So I didn't know that.
Right.
Did you guys reach out to Ben, or did Ben call you?
I
from-
think I
to have you
reached
play?
out to Ben.
You did,
yeah.
okay.
And I was kind of
At Rock God for
yeah,
the first show. Yeah,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so we were trying, like, shooting for the stars for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I didn't realize that it's marketing
Yeah.
anyway. Like, even if we wanted to play at Knobles, they didn't want us there anyway.
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because they want old people to sit there.
Yep.
They don't want young people to sit there.
Right.
Because if they have young people sitting there, it takes away from the ride tickets. It takes away
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all these
That's a
other
really good
things that,
point.
and
Good
I
point.
didn't really realize
Yeah.
that until it, like, made sense to me. I don't
Yeah.
not that we were, like, gonna bring in a young crowd,
Sure.
but even if 40 they don't want 40-year-olds
Sure.
sitting.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
everything's a sales tactic.
that's
Which,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
and if you think about that, that's true for all of the cover artists around here that play amazing music and have great shows. And I hear it all the time from some of the venue owners, like, well, how many people are they going to bring? Because all they really care about is selling
Right.
beers and plates, you
Right.
know? Right. That's a really good point. So it's funny to know that a punk, an alternative band that does all original music is experiencing the same kind of
Yeah.
issues as even cover people.
Yeah.
You know, who are, I don't mean to say cover people, but people playing covers,
Yeah.
playing in more palatable venues, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that
it
makes
even
sense.
makes me think twice about, like, even my own band. Like, maybe I wouldn't want to play at Knobles, or because they wouldn't really want my band, because
you don't know.
you know
that.
it. Well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, it just makes me think about it a little bit more. Like, what is the truly the appropriate place to be playing? You know,
I think you know where you are
So-
supposed to be playing because I think you do it all the time. You get what I'm saying? I think you know where your place is.
I'm
I
not so
think
sure
you could.
that I have been, but that's a whole different.
Well, you're not wrong, and this kind of comes right around. like sort of full circle here
Yeah.
because this is an issue that we talk about a lot. We've mentioned it on a couple of our previous episodes, and people have been like, I want to talk about that. And it's the right place for a band to play.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
as a cover artist, you know, most cover artists are doing it to kind of get a little bit of a paycheck. A lot of them are doing it for extra income at times. Some people are really doing it for what they just love playing music. But in those cases, you can play in a restaurant or a bar where people aren't necessarily there to see them for the music, just to have something that they enjoy as entertainment. Where as an all original band, you have to be playing at places where people are expecting all original music. So it's like you take that same place that only books covers and tribute bands all the time. That is not the best place for any original act, no matter how palatable they are.
Right.
And then you start to throw in how heavy the music is and how alternative it is.
Right.
Now you're adding another variable,
Yeah.
which puts you
Another
even
layer.
further out,
Yeah.
you know, from specific places. And that's why we end up playing these DIY spots, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
bars that are like willing to take us, I guess.
Yeah.
There are a few bars that
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
great and cool places. Sometimes there are holes in the wall.
Oh,
and
man,
some of them are the best though.
When
So much fun.
They're my
When,
favorite places to play.
when I first started the first band, we played that like brew pub in South Williamsport or in Newberry in Williamsport, and it was like a little brewery place. And when they booked us, they just like messaged me and was like, "Hey, do you want to play?" And we were like, "Sure." And when we walked in the door, I'm like, it was like a family restaurant, and I was like, I told the hostess, I said, "Hey, like we're supposed to be playing a show, but I'm like, do they know like what music we play? Because like, dude, we're like, you know,
Yeah.
you guys know we're screaming and swearing, and our subject matter is really political and very, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh yeah," the owner said, "Yeah, we know." And there's like "Live, Love, Laugh" posters on the wall and like Yankee candles on the tables, and I'm like, and they're like, "Yeah, set up right here," and I'm like, "All right." And thankfully, when we did play, all the patrons moved out, and then we had like 20 or 30 people, but they all came just to see us play. So it was like
Yeah.
a weird
It was like
situation,
like a
but-
change, like a transition period.
Like, oh, that's the night crowd.
Yeah, it's the night crowd. Yeah. Yeah.
But I also understand 100% what you were saying about thinking you might be a little more palatable than you are, because I did the same thing with Average Sex Fiend. It was like our first time we played was the open mic. You came and watched us, and then you booked us for our first show at Phillips.
Yeah.
I remember. Like, so, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, we could play. And since Ben from Rock God was in the band, we played at Rock God a bunch of times because he owned the place, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was cool, but we realized really quickly that his patrons just weren't into what we were doing.
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
kind of silly for us to keep playing there, you know.
It
Even though
happens.
he owned the place, it was
Right.
like, you know, so.
It happens. It's really hard to read. Like, you have to read a room, too. It's just like every band, I think, has to be able to read a room. But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's hard to do when you first start, too, because you're like, are they trying to figure us out? Are they trying to, like,
Yeah.
are they gonna eventually like us or not? I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but whatever. Or they're just listening intently, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
It
but-
is a lot easier to say, hey, we play, you know, skate punk and this is the show, and then the people who are interested in it to come, rather than to say, well, hopefully they'll think we're okay.
Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes.
So that changed really quickly then. You kind of stopped trying
Yeah.
to book
Yeah, just
places
looking
like that.
looking at like the DIY places, because I mean, I played a carnival with Powder Keg Culture.
Oh, really? What? Which carnival?
Beach Haven.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That did not go well.
No,
oh,
Tell
dude,
us.
I remember talking to you about
I want
this.
to hear about it.
I mean, nobody cared. I guess that was it. Like, it just felt like nobody
Oh,
cared.
Yeah,
It,
Yeah.
like you
we
didn't
were-
really have an audience that was like attentive or anything.
Didn't
Yeah.
you also play? We won't say the name of it, but there's like a restaurant there on the main street in
Berwick.
Berwick. And I
Yeah.
remember we had a conversation about that, and you were like, "They hated us."
They hated us. I have to say, they definitely hated us. And we brought in a metal band to open for us. And the owner of the place came out and said, can can you tell that drummer to play quieter? Yeah. And I said, well, that's how he plays.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
turn down everything.
What band was
Yeah.
that?
Dead End Lane, I think
Oh,
they're
okay.
called. Yeah.
I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we played with them before too.
Yeah.
In Scranton.
So they ended up like kind of they emptied out the room, not because they were bad, but they were really good, but the problem was it just wasn't that scene, and that town is not our scene. I found that out in general.
Yeah.
Like that town, the whole town.
Yep.
So
Well, because not to cut you off, but I also remember then, as Powder Keg, you guys opened for the Blink-182 tribute band
in the same
in
town.
Berwick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I specifically remember that because even that people who were showing up for this Blink-182 band didn't like appreciate the all original
Right.
band who actually they couldn't have picked a better opener for them really locally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, it is what it is. Like you go to a thing thinking like that a band that is gonna rip off like they're the I'm not saying they're cheesy, but
Well, no, but
I don't know.
listen,
I guess
you can say it because I do, and it's okay if we have those opinions.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just an opinion.
the problem is people want to hear what they think is familiar, and I know I remember I was at that show. I came just to see you guys, and I think I paid like $20 to watch you guys open, and then I left before the Blink-182 band because I don't love Blink-182, and I remember you being very frustrated
Oh my
at that
gosh,
show.
it's-
About the situation.
First of all, I'm not gonna say that I'm a big Blink-182 fan.
Right.
But the thing was, I know that my heart and soul were in those songs, at the time, and like these guys jump up there and are mimicking. I'm sorry, but I think mimicking isn't necessarily
I still remember
the hardest thing to do because we could figure out a cover
I still quote you from that day all
yeah.
the time. It's
Oh, he
one of my
does.
favorite quotes. And I remember specifically, if you don't mind me telling the story, but I remember specifically you got on the mic in the middle of your set and you were like, just so you guys know, every single cover song you hear is somebody else's original. And then you started to like say something else, and Brandon was in the back. It was like, all right, Doug, let's play the song before you piss these guys off.
Honestly, if I was gonna start a riot in a town, it would be in Berwick.
Yeah.
So just so you know, it's just not my
It's a
favorite
very
town to
true
play.
Yeah.
statement, though.
Yeah.
It's a very true statement.
Yeah.
And there used to be some shows in Berwick too. I remember Stanko's bowling alley had some like
Peppers.
Peppers,
Yeah.
Peppers.
Yeah.
In Stanko's bowling alley there, yeah. They had some shows back in the day, a little bit here and there. I don't know really what stuff they were doing, but yeah.
I would guess it was that like hip hop rock stuff.
I know they used to do that, but I think they also
Breaking Ben rip off stuff too.
You
sorry, I don't know.
You can't really get around that type of stuff around here, obviously, because the Breaking Benjamin guys are from Sealands Grove, I think.
Yeah,
right?
no, I have nothing against the
Yeah.
original band.
Right.
Of course.
But right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you had those experiences, and that really changed how you looked at booking then from that point forward. And so, and then you started to kind of realize what were the better places to book. Now I want to talk about, this is a big issue too, and I do want to at least touch on this, is getting paid as a musician. Because this is a huge point of contention, and I think there's a disconnect in the music community on like how you get paid.
Yep.
So Rebecca and I, like, we're in the process now putting together like another alternative type band, and we were reaching out to people to ask them to drum with us, and I wanted to be very open and upfront with them, and I said, hey, look, if you're gonna drum with us, here's the deal. Just so you know, like, we're probably not gonna get paid. Like, you're not gonna make $100 a gig as an individual in this band. And they were like, oh, I'm pretty sure that will come. And we're like, I don't know, because I've driven 5 hours one way to play a 30-minute set to get free pizza and beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you have to put it like look at it like this. We're bands that have half-hour to 45-minute sets.
Yeah.
Right? And you have 4 bands playing.
Yep.
So there's 16 people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that money has to be split. If it's the door or whatever it is, then
Yeah.
you split the door. Or if the place had a set amount set aside for this show, like say it was $600
Sure.
or something,
Yeah.
you know, it's really you got 150 each or whatever it
Yeah.
is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you have to think of it like that.
Yeah,
They
because
can't-
it's a different scene. The way the scene is just different
Mm-hmm.
than going to see your local like musician in a restaurant or
Right.
something like that.
Well, you're also taking up 2 or
Yeah.
3 hours if you see a local musician in a restaurant.
Sure.
2 or 3
Yeah,
hours.
they're
and
playing
then-
that whole time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So that plays a factor into it, and you know, I never expect to make money.
I was just gonna say, have you
And-
always been okay
Yeah.
with?
I mean, would I like to make more money? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
I
course,
think,
please.
I mean, to be perfectly
For
honest.
tips, here's my Venmo.
I think it's sad. It makes me sad, and I want all musicians who are putting the work and the time and the effort and the same amount of energy.
Everybody should get
more
paid.
energy, because sometimes you guys are setting up all kinds of stuff, and then you're not getting paid, or you're getting $50 or gas money,
You know,
and it's like,
oh man,
it's not fair. Like it
oh, it
feels like it's
sucks.
not fair.
Because
know,
let's
but-
just say, obviously in our area, as a cover musician doing solo shows or duo shows, you're going to make between like $100, $150. Sometimes you can get $200 at a show.
Yeah.
And we're talking literally about splitting $50 between the band.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, and I want to see everybody get paid too. That's why the Rock the Blocks that I did at
Yep.
Rock God, that I did 2 of those. And I think the first year I was able to pay you guys like $170 as a band.
It was decent.
Close
it
to
wasn't
200.
bad. Yeah.
More than what you're used to.
Yeah.
And the second year, I think it was like $200.
Yeah.
I think for each band to do a 45-minute set.
Yeah.
And I intentionally did that because I had no idea. We busted out. We started playing in our first band, and I'm like, man, I didn't realize we didn't get paid for this. I had no
Yeah.
clue. And I really wanted to make sure that original bands got something
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
playing. So that's the whole reason I did
Yep.
that.
I'll tell you this. What we do with our money, and I think it's helpful for an original band to think of it like
Yep.
as more of a collectively like pot thing that you can make
Investing.
your record, your next record,
Yeah.
your next
Yeah.
recordings. You throw that $50 in.
Yep.
If you
Yeah.
sell a T-shirt, throw the $50 or $20 in, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think if you go approach it like it's a small business,
Yeah.
but you don't get anything back.
Yeah.
Just us as small
Yeah.
business owners, we're not getting paid either for a long time.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
have
Yep.
to put that investment in.
I like that how you said that, though. I mean, and it takes the whole band being on board with that and being okay with that and saying, hey, like whatever we make or whatever we have, we're going to reinvest back into the band
Yeah.
to further our,
and it's
our
still not
goals.
enough.
No, it's
No.
still
It
not.
still
It'll
come
take
out of your
us
pocket. Yeah.
a lot longer if we want to make an album and it's $400 a day to record or something.
Yeah, whatever.
That's probably like 8 to 10 shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
one
it's a
day.
lot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's not including unless you're getting merch sales, and maybe if you get enough merch sales, maybe it's 4 shows.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
still like
Yeah.
That's a good point, the merch, and that's one thing that sets apart original music from cover music. Not that cover music doesn't ever have merch, but it's more of an original music thing having merch. So that is there is a little bit of I don't want to call it an advantage, but it's just a difference in a way that you can make some money from
Yeah.
your merch,
Yeah.
So
And honestly, like, I wouldn't want a cover band's T-shirt, to be honest
well, yeah, that's
with you.
what I'm
Right,
saying.
right.
Like
Yeah.
what most
It's
people
just-
want merch from
Yeah.
I would
original
from my
band.
friends
Right.
because we have a lot of friends who
Yeah.
who are cover musicians and
Right.
do it professionally and we always support
Yeah.
the people that we love.
Right.
And if they had merch, I'm buying it.
I get it. I
Because
get
it.
I love
Yeah,
them.
I have
But-
friends that
Sure,
do
sure.
do.
But in general, overall, people are looking for merch from bands that are like the cool, like original band that, that's just how it works.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, because it's yeah. And honestly, even huge big bands that are touring are making the majority of their income from their merch. I mean,
Yeah.
even big bands that are playing, Hershey and these
Yep.
10,000 person shows, the majority, because it cost a lot to tour,
Right.
they're making most of their money from
Yeah.
their merch sales.
But even just making your merch is an investment.
It's true, and it takes some money
So,
to do that.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
a while to actually see any profit from that. So
Yeah.
So
And
I wasn't-
it's not easy to sell merch either.
No.
Right.
At shows, but
I mean, especially at a bar.
Yeah.
And I think that, we always do a lot better at, all age venues and or places that don't sell alcohol
yeah.
when it comes to selling merch.
Yeah.
Because you're competing with the bar.
yeah,
Yeah.
In a way.
For
you don't
those
really want
dollars.
to be
Yeah,
competing
yeah.
with them.
No,
So,
not
yeah,
at all.
Right.
But I get that, so I don't really care
Yeah.
as much. But I also
Yeah.
think that I have a set amount, as a patron or a person
Mm-hmm.
that comes to a show, I have a set amount of money I can spend because everybody's on a budget
Yeah,
these
right,
days.
right.
And then they're not going to buy your merch or they buy one band's merch because they only can
Yeah.
really afford to get one
Sure.
other band's.
Sure.
Yeah, and usually it's like the most popular band.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we played this show in Pittsburgh at Mr. Roboto Project, and
Mm-hmm.
we it was like a touring band
Mm-hmm.
who had a little bit of a following, way more than us. And I remember we didn't sell one piece of merch, but there was a line for them, and I'm like, man, this sucks. You
Yeah.
know, our genres didn't really match as well as I would have hoped, so I get it, but it was cool because we got to play in front of 150 people.
That's great.
But
Yeah.
no, they were all there for that other band, so
Well, I
mean
would
you
be
didn't catch their ear.
Right,
But there
right.
could have been
right.
something you could have, maybe they didn't buy your shirt
But
or
they might have
something.
followed you
Yeah.
on
Spotify
yeah.
or whatever,
Right.
YouTube, whatever,
Yeah.
and maybe you got a few listens out of it. You
Yeah.
don't know, but I
Yeah.
mean that's not much when you consider how much you get for streaming. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
that's another subject for another
That is
day.
another
but,
subject.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but I didn't mean to be a jerk about that
Oh,
cover
no.
band,
Absolutely
about
not.
the cover
No.
band T-shirt.
No,
I just know
no.
that they get paid, and I don't have to worry about them. you
you're
get what I'm
not
saying?
wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not wrong. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You want to support the other original
You know,
artists.
I mean, and listen, that was one of the points of contention with the fact that you guys, with when you opened for the Blink 182 tribute band, because listen, and I don't care. Normally, I won't call out names, but we both know how much that band got paid,
Yeah.
and I remember this. Listen, that tribute band got $5,000 to play that show, and you guys got what, $200
I
or
think we
something?
got 90, but that's okay.
$5,000. And listen, again, we're not calling out the place that this was at.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
they
want to do
signed
your
a
own
contract.
research and
They
figure it
signed a
out,
contract,
but
and we didn't.
they got paid.
That's the difference.
And dude, there was maybe 50 people at that show.
It wasn't a ton.
Not
Yeah.
Yeah.
$5,000 they made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where
that's a
I
lot.
sit
And I
back
know
and
this
I'm like,
from-
that's
from
just
sources.
not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what sucks. That's
Yeah.
what sucks.
I mean, I think they were the place, if I remember correctly. Blink 182 went on a tour again,
Yeah.
and the tickets were out unreasonable.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Like most tickets are these days.
Yeah.
Right, but this was the first time that they were coming back as the original trio.
Yep.
And so I guess they were thousands of dollars. So I think what the place was trying to do was trying to say, okay, you can't afford to see this band. Well, we'll get you
Gotcha.
another cheap version. You can come see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what they were trying to do, and
Yeah.
play into the
My problem is this. This is it. Listen, dude. If you're gonna pay, if you have a set, and you're gonna pay this band $5,000, I'm not saying that you guys need to make $5,000 too. But if you
Right.
can afford to pay them $5,000, you can give this band $1,000.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm
we're not-
sorry.
I
Like,
know.
you know what I mean?
I know. I would have had a tough time.
$500
No,
bucks
you
even.
no.
100%. I would have had a tough time
No.
accepting
Well,
that.
knowing Doug,
because
he's not lying because you already don't charge enough for your merch.
Well, yeah, and I don't like that you don't feel that you're worth that.
I'm not saying we're not worth that.
You are.
But I do. But I recognize who we can bring at the moment.
Yeah,
At the
right.
time. You know what I mean?
So you're
like, I
going-
look out in the crowd and I go, okay, I see Jay, my wife,
Yeah.
this person that I know.
You're going by how many people.
And
you
I'm
know.
like, all right, they're not going to spend $1,000. And my guilt would have set in.
I
from
look
that,
at it
Well,
you
from
know?
the show. Though.
Yes, the show.
I get what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
And
I
the
get it.
venue.
And the venue.
Being able to make sure that they're supporting you guys as well.
And it's not even. It's more like the venue clearly felt as though paying that amount was worth it to them for the other band, and it's kind of exploitive to have someone open for $100.
It is. It is. It's
I
You know what I
100%
mean?
being
agree with
cheap
that. They
and-
could have
Yeah.
could have done a little better with
and also, if I can just throw my 2 cents in about being a venue, I'm not a venue, but if I was a venue,
Well, we kind of are a venue
I
now.
would
but-
treat every single band or musician that came in like they were rock stars, the best that I could.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
because
And-
you're a musician. But
Yeah.
and I'm the same way. I
But
would.
yeah, but why wouldn't you? It's good for business, you know.
True.
Be like, we have this amazing band that's opening up for this other band. You know what I mean? And like, just make them sound like like you guys are like the shit, you know.
Yeah.
But too many venues just kind of like it like you said, it's kind of more like, oh, they're gonna play for free, so
If they're gonna play for free,
Yeah.
we might as well get them for free.
Yeah.
I don't take that approach. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it because it's like capitalism, and most people who know me know how I feel about that type of stuff.
Right.
But I own a store, and we're doing these, and I don't want to like ostracize myself from any communities, but I'm sort of like an anti-capitalist in a capitalist world. So I am a capitalist, but I don't agree a lot of times with the personalities that can bring out and exemplify. So
if I can say one more thing about that.
you sure can.
So, like, I just want to give an example of a place I played recently, and they did such a great job. And this is where it's not just about like if you think, oh, I don't pull people or whatever. It's not just your job to pull people. It's the venue's job too. Like,
It is a shared
And the
job.
example that I'm about to give is where this venue did an amazing job. They put flyers up of me coming to play. They told everybody ahead of time, she does awesome original music. Like, and people got really excited for this show. Like I was this big upcoming artist, and I'm like, I wish I was,
You are. You are, though.
Well, I mean,
You're doing great.
I don't look at myself that way, but like they did such a good job of like making me seem like I'm this rock star coming through town,
Mm-hmm.
and so people came and they were there and they like loved it, I got
great.
such a great response.
And that's what it takes.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the
But-
marketing.
I mean,
exactly.
if a venue, they get what they give. 100%. I do think you're right on that.
And I could go on about this.
Yeah, this is a whole different.
I could go on about this. Oh man,
Same.
I'm gonna save most of this for another
Yeah.
episode because we are running a little bit long here.
Yeah.
But you're right though. The resources do help, like because they do have a pool
Mm-hmm.
from like just like visual or like
Yeah.
they have probably a Facebook page.
Yep.
They have a
Yeah, and
Instagram,
it just
and
takes a
that
little
helps.
bit of effort to
Helps,
just
yeah.
put that out and you use the right wording and whatnot.
Yeah,
But-
just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. I had a question if I can
Yeah,
ask before we
we're good.
end. So just let's look at this past year, 2025. About how many shows have you guys played, and what was your favorite venue that you played at?
oh, the favorite venue is hard. I know we played about 30 shows or so this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. Okay.
A lot of them were double headers, which
Yeah.
is kind of fun, but it's hard on the voice.
Especially
Yeah.
when you're-
yeah.
Yeah.
But there were some pretty cool ones. I actually really enjoyed. So we played. The most memorable this year was we played the Pocket Park in Bloomsburg.
Okay.
Okay.
And
God, that was just recent.
You're right.
Is that, what is that?
Where you've played in the alley.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Pocket Park in Bloomsburg. And it was on a first Friday.
Okay.
And so we set up, we played with the Super High Tech Jet Fighters, and they had
Another punk
flawless,
band, right?
great
Yeah.
set, you know. We were a little bit louder than the Super High Tech Jet Fighters. The Super High Tech Jet Fighters are kind of a pop punk band,
Yeah.
which are they're really great, fun band. Then we came out and we started yelling and, you know, slamming the drums and
Yep.
stuff. And I guess one of the local restaurants didn't really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So the cops came
Oh, my.
and the local restaurant owner started yelling at us
Oh, boy.
while we were playing, and we just kept playing, you know. And the cops came, and they said, "Can you turn it down?" And we said no. So, and they just stood there, and they
Yeah.
just watched us for the rest of the time.
The
'Cause I
cops?
know it was prior to any noise
Yeah.
level.
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
you-
it was
we were
like
hired.
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Yeah,
we
that's
were-
what time I played when I
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
we were hired to play it.
Yep.
Like we were paid to play
Yeah.
it. So not that much, but it was enough that
Yep.
Sure.
we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And you're not breaking any laws,
No.
so
Yeah.
screw
So-
you,
yeah.
honestly,
So was that
you know?
was that one of your favorite shows? Because you were like, yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of fun to be
Yeah.
like the
Listen.
like,
Yeah.
you know,
Any
villain.
day is a good day when you piss off a Karen.
Yeah, that's right.
Any day is a good
Yeah.
day when you piss off a Karen.
It was a lot of fun. and
Yeah.
just to have the videos there of the lady
Yeah.
pointing at
Oh, great.
Brandon
Oh,
playing,
man.
you know. It's
That
pretty
was
funny.
you gotta get that stuff up on a reel or something.
It was.
Oh, okay,
like, a
good.
couple times. It was pretty funny.
Well, you got to use that footage for like a music video. or
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up just because we've been going. I mean, to be super clear, I could probably sit here with both of you guys all another hour at
Yeah.
least talking about this subject and more. But unfortunately, we got to cut it short because, well, not cut it short, but cut it long because we gotta keep people interested for you guys watching, so you're not losing interest. I don't know how you would for this conversation because it was a really good
Yeah,
one.
it was.
Thank you.
Thank
yeah.
you, Doug.
I've really enjoyed your shows so far.
Thank
I
you.
really think they're
Thank
turning
you.
out great.
Great,
so
thank
I'm
you.
happy to be part of it.
So we're gonna sign off, and thanks to Doug for coming out and doing this with us. We really appreciate it. We love doing these conversation videos just about any subject, and we just love digging deep to get people's perspective. So if you are watching this video, please comment and let us know what you think about any of these subjects. Put in your 2 cents because that's what we want to do. Doug, as we head out here, Doug's current band is Neanderthal from Bloomsburg. And if any of our viewers here would like to check out your music, other than you can buy well, they have a new album coming out real soon, but their last album you could buy right here in the shop on vinyl. I have a few copies left for sale. But
And
if
you
they
need
want to
more,
hear,
you know, I
Yeah.
can always
I
come.
wish I would have
Well,
worn
the
the
new ones
Neanderthal
I
hat
wanna
that I
get.
have.
Oh, thank
I
you.
love it.
but if people are interested in hearing your music and finding you guys, what's the best way? Social media handles and your music.
We have a Facebook, we have a YouTube, we have a Spotify. I think we have Amazon. I think we're on
Yeah,
everything.
On
on all the
everything, yeah.
streaming things.
Yeah.
And Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah,
and it's Neanderthal
With an M.
with an M, not
Yep.
not like the
Nean.
evolutionary
Although we do
creature.
play
Although
with
You
it
do
a little.
have
actually,
the play on
really
words.
quick before we go out, yeah, what is that play on words Neanderthal? Where did that come from?
I think it's. So I don't
calling
want to
him out here on the
get too
spot.
political about it, but
Well,
I
it's
think
okay.
it's a little bit of the selfishness
Yeah.
that is in men right now.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And towards like
You can get
culture-
political if
You
that's what
can.
you want to do.
certain
That's fine.
cultures
Yeah.
that are in
It's
it
all
for
about me.
themselves.
The me
Yeah.
world, yeah. So
Yeah.
like the
Neanderthal.
evolution of the me.
I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
play on words.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what
All right,
that is.
guys. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
We love you.
Good
Thank
seeing you
you.
guys. Good hanging.
Doug Ruckle, Neanderthal, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.